I've got a really interesting image for you. So I see this man. He's about 32. He's about 32. He's wearing a hat. He's wearing like medieval clothing. And he's sort of like a lord or a vassal or somebody who's, got a significant amount of land, and possibly this might be his castle. It's not like the Disney type of a castle. It's a little bit more like a fortress. And I see him kind of stomping his feet, and he's all like, I've had it. I'm done here. And there's a door, so he heads for the door. And as soon as he touches the doorknob and opens the door to the outside world, the castle is no longer a castle. It becomes like a picture of a castle on a stage, like on a play set, like on the wall. It's a picture of a castle. And as he walks away, he hangs onto that doorknob, and it pulls the picture of the castle off the wall. So it's almost like everything that was built was a lie. That's what it feels like to me. Everything that I thought was very solid, a stone fortress or a stone castle, it was only a picture. It was only made of paper. It could be ripped down. It could be rebuilt. It could be demolished. And he's walking from, this, I guess, like a three-dimensional world into this two-dimensional world. And everything was just theatrics. Everything was just a stage setting. And he could, I feel like he made the right choice walking away. So that's the image that I got. And I feel almost like the energy or the tone of this reading is it's somewhat in alignment with the image that I saw. And I especially feel like for many of you, there's a lot of disappointment here when it comes to institution. And it could be a financial institution where you have to jump through a lot of hoops in order to get a loan. Okay, so for those of you who are thinking about like buying a property, you have to jump through a lot of hoops. And at one point, you're just like, this is a lot of BS that I have to go through. And I feel like for others, it's a learning institution where it was all about your tuition rather than the learning process. And then for others, it was like family. We do so much for family members. But when it comes to, I guess, the institution of family, I feel like some of you, I feel like some of you might have children. And I almost feel like having to jump through the bureaucratic hoops just to register the child, as your dependent, for example, that is really grating on your nerves. And then I also feel for others as well. Like if you're a business owner and you're trying to get a business license, or if you have a car and you're trying to register in another state, like there's a lot of disappointment and frustration when it comes to bureaucracy, when it comes to institutions, when it comes to like having to get, it's almost like we're just a number. We're just a census. They don't treat us like human beings. That's what it feels like to me. We're just like, a serial number to them. And so there's a lot of frustration that I feel coming through with this spread. And, hence the guy at the beginning, like, I've had it, I'm out of here. And then when he walks away, that's when he realizes that the bureaucratic process was set up in that way because the institution or the situation he was leaving behind, it was very flimsy. Okay. People just go in through it. It's almost like it was built on something that we all know to be a joke, but the rules and the regulations are so rigid it's almost like to fool people into thinking that it's a very stable institution when it's not. So everything was a facade. Everything can be broken down, easily revealed, and easily just, exposed. So I feel like there's this disappointment and frustration coming through where you feel almost like you just want to tear it down. You just want to rebuild. You just want to start from scratch. That's what it seems like to me. I also feel like for some of you, There might also be regrets as well. And I feel like this is something completely separate, okay? Completely separate from that first image that I saw with the frustration with bureaucracy, with the institutions and things like that. This is a separate message. I feel like there was a situation here where you're dealing with people and you felt like you were, you felt like you were too rigid. You felt like you should have, said things in a more delicate manner. Okay. And this is definitely like, somebody that you care about or a group of people that you care about, and you were voicing your frustration or you were venting and you felt like you should have been a little bit more delicate or a little bit like, you should have held back a little bit. But when a Leo is upset or when a fire sign, any fire sign is upset, they're going to give, people a piece of their mind. And I feel like if this hasn't happened already, just be a little bit careful about how you vent or how you come across, because with fixed signs, our energy is really, really strong. Okay. It can be very intimidating when when we believe in something really, really strongly and very, if you have a truth and you want to speak, you can rile people up to kind of like to lead people to fight for your truth. That's how powerful you are. And when you absolutely hate something, you can convince people to hate it just as much as you can. Fixed signs have the ability to do that because they feel things in a very binary way. They either love something or they hate something. They're either for something or totally against something. And they're very passionate. So make sure that you use your gift of persuasion to do the right thing, and make sure that you are a little bit more moderate when it comes to your view so that you don't isolate segments of the people that you want to have on your side. Does that make sense? So this is about being a little bit more diplomatic. This is about when we're upset to not speak from that space of anger, but to kind of like take a moment to calm ourselves before we speak. So speaking from a place of emotion, I feel like if you're dealing with people who are a little bit more cerebral, who are a little bit more facts oriented, who are a little bit like, like either scientists or academics, or if you're trying to present something in a very factual manner, make sure it's the facts that you're using to back up your argument rather than the emotions that you're using to back up your argument. And so that's what I feel. It's almost like this, things boiling over. So you want to moderate your emotions and you want to make sure that you're seeing both sides of the story, okay? Because obviously there are always two sides to the story. There are always multiple things, multiple solutions, multiple angles, multiple viewpoints. So we kind of have to weigh out the pros and the cons, and we also need to weigh out, as well, is it worth stirring the pot? Okay? Is it worth stirring the pot? Finances for you guys for this week is looking really good. And I feel like for many of you, there might have been like new job offers, new promotions, new projects that you're dabbling in. And I feel like generally you guys are quite, resourceful. You're very resourceful. You can, make do with a lot less than other signs. You're very resourceful. And I also feel as well, it's almost like being able to cook for 10 people with like things that you scrounge up in your refrigerator without having to do the grocery shopping. So it's like that, being able to scrounge up a lot of resources, being able to, if you have been worried for whatever reason about a loan, if you have been worried about, am I going to be able to make ends meet? I feel like you have more than enough resources at your disposal, but I definitely feel like you're not struggling. There's a lot of financial abundance coming through with the spread. We start out with the Two of Pentacles. we escalate to the Six of Pentacles and now to the Seven of Pentacles. So progression in that regards, it's always really good. So I definitely feel like maybe the beginning of the year, things have been a little bit rocky for you financially. And I feel like it's not so much the financial resources per se. It's more like, what do I have lined up? What project is next for me? Some of you could be performers and you were worried about your next gig and you were worried about whether or not you're going to land a contract. And I feel like this is the month, if you are in that, situation, like at the beginning of the year, things have been really rocky. You might have gone on a lot of auditions. You might have, spent a lot of money buying plane tickets, by traveling, buying the right clothes even to fit that role. And resources were a little bit scarce. And you weren't sure how much you could spend because you're not sure if there's going to be a job or a gig or a project or a contract lined up for you. And this is the week where things are going to be really good. I definitely see work contracts. I see a lot of people looking over like a contract of some kind. And they're telling you, here are the rules of the conduct, like the rules of our organization. Here are the things that employees are not supposed to do. And you're reading over it and you're just like, wow, this institution or this place is a little bit strict on their employees. I see as well, the work contract will have numbers. And it will have like, this is how much you're getting paid. This is how much, you have to pay into health insurance, unions, and things like that. So I feel some of you might be shifting into possibly like a public sector, working for the government, working for the state, working for the county, working for the city, something that is a little bit more structured. And it could be, a little bit rigid as well. But you're looking at a lot of paperwork, and I see a lot of people signing their names, okay? Legal contracts too. I'm also seeing as well, there are some situations here when it comes to child support, alimony, child support, somebody going to court, somebody having to be in front of a judge, and there are contracts drawn up. This is how much we're taking from your salary in order to pay the child support or to pay for the alimony. Or voluntarily, like on a voluntary basis, you might have some type of a spoken, like a verbal agreement between you and a significant other about how much you need to or they need to pay when it comes to child support. When it comes to like dividing up the time, the kids are going to be here today and here the next day. And then based on that, you're going to draw up the terms of, child support, alimony, etc. So I do see a lot of legal things, and I do see like, it could be a source of frustration. It could be a source of frustration. But I feel like this is the week where things get resolved. Okay, so if this is an ongoing thing, if there has been like lack of compromise or lack of agreement, or if the agreement has been very, very slow in coming, if there has been, court dates that are set and then reset, because let's be honest, that Mercury retrograde period in the past was not easy. Okay, it just ended on the 6th of December. So I feel like things are straightening themselves out. So there's going to be a lot of communication in that regards. I definitely see the financial situation is really good for you guys. So I don't feel like you need to worry about it too much. But I feel like there are divvying up of responsibilities and especially financial obligations. If somebody has been reneging on their financial obligations, like if they're not paying their dues, if they're not paying the child support, and especially if they're not paying whatever it is that it's their responsibility to pay, there's going to be kind of like that gavel slamming down, telling them that this is what you owe, this is what you need to pay, and this is, what your obligations are financially. So somebody is going to be made responsible for their financial dealings. And I feel like if you felt like you have been wrong, this is like divine, karma coming back around. to right a situation, and it's going to be in your favor. Okay, so don't fret over it. The last thing that did show up here in this spread is a lot of travel, a lot of movement, possibly a major relocation. And I feel like you kind of need to save up. Okay, so if you are thinking, for example, I'm seeing like needing to save up for that move, needing to save up for that change, and you kind of need to do it right now. So I don't know if it's coming in the June timeframe of next year, but I feel like it's going to happen faster than you anticipate. So like if you're waiting on a situation, if you're waiting for, you know, the job or relocation, selling property even, whatever the situation is, there's a need for you to save up and stockpile some money, because the new change is going to happen a lot sooner than you thought. And so you want to stockpile up and you want to be ready for it when it comes. So even though everything has been moving at a snail's pace since the April timeframe, next year things are accelerated. Okay, so if you feel stalled, if you feel like you're not really making traction, you're not gaining momentum, I feel like next year it's going to be like it's like releasing the horses from the gate. Okay, so like they're hitting the ground running. Like they're, as soon as that gate opens, the horses are just charging full speed ahead. And I feel like you have to, you know, stockpile up, and you have to get everything in order, get everything to go, and get everything ready to go, because it's going to be fast. Let me see if there's anything else here. For those in theater, for those who are actors, for those especially who are involved in, you know, performances, I want you to be a little bit careful about your feet, especially from the knee, left knee and ankles. I don't know why, but you want to, like, especially if you are performers and you're on your feet a lot, make sure you warm up properly. Make sure you, you know, like do the proper warm ups, because I feel like pulling hamstrings, like pulling a muscle, pulling a nerve or something like that. Okay, so just be careful about that. So that is all the information I have for you, Leos. I hope the reading is helpful. I hope it resonates.